Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blog. So let's get to it. I say I'm gonna take some time off, y'all. All the cashiers, they was like, somebody stole her truck. It's like you can hear it all throughout the store. This Rox coming to you today with a review for Love and Marriage Detroit, Love and Marriage Huntsville, our book 4, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, first story up, let's talk about Jess Hilarious and how she imploded on the internet earlier this week as she was complaining about the high school environment that she has found herself in as being the newest host that was added on to the Breakfast Club. You guys know that Angela Yee left almost 2 years ago. And it took Breakfast Club some time to find a replacement. They were having a lot of people come in and sit in, testing for the position. And Jess Hilarious was the person that they settled with. Now, I thought that this was a good opportunity for Jess Hilarious because, when we first met Jess Hilarious, I mean, she was just on social media. I think she probably just started out just giving her own commentary on just things, and she was funny. She had a certain type of charm to herself and people took to her. And then it became Jess with the Mess. Okay, she actually started to do little segments on her Instagram where she's talking about, very similar to something that we do here at Top of the Blogs, but just in a very, more condensed real type or stories type of, not stories, but like short type length, commentary on things that's going on in entertainment industry, entertainment gossip and the such. And so they ended up bringing her on Breakfast Club to pick up where Angela Yee left off. And she was also to bring her Jess with the Mess segment there as well. But she wasn't just there for the entertainment. She was also there as the third host. Okay. We was worried that she didn't even really get the job. She had told us she got the job and then she was not ever there. So then it was like, damn, did she fuck herself out of the job? But no, they were still, I guess, just getting some things together, and they finally brought her on. So she's been there. I haven't listened to the Breakfast Club since Angela Yee left. She was the only reason why I probably was listening to it still for as long as I did, because, it was getting hard to be able to stomach Charlemagne and DJ Envy. So when Angela Yee left, that's when I kind of signed out. Actually, I'm lying. I actually stopped really listening when Pandemic happened. Pandemic was a big change for me, child. I did a lot of stuff differently when Pandemic came, and so I stopped listening to radio because I wasn't in the car. I was home. I was working from home for 4 years, so I just wasn't listening, and I didn't miss it. And then when I did start coming back to work, I stopped going to, I never listen to Breakfast Club anymore because I really enjoy Young Jock's show. I say it all the time, y'all. It's a good show. I'm telling you, it is a pretty entertaining show. Anyway, so she's been there, and I thought that she was doing well, and everybody was fine with her there, and that's that. But then she got pregnant and she went on maternity leave. And so when she went on maternity leave, they had a girl named Lauren LaRosa that came in and covered her Jess with the Mess segment. And so it was going to be on the same vein of entertainment gossip. But Lauren has a journalistic background. I think she actually went to school for it. She is actually a producer, or she was brought on to be able to produce. Well, they call you a producer. When you have your own segment, they call you your own producer. So that's what I'm assuming that they meant from that. But anyway, she was brought on to do the Jess with the Mess, but because people liked her so much that they would she was there. So she was really the fill-in for Jess Hilarious, right? So then that was going smoothly, and everything was going on. But then it came time for Jess Hilarious to come back to her job, which she did. But then when she came back, Lauren still stayed. And, Breakfast Club has always been 3 hosts. But now we've got Breakfast Club with 4 hosts. I mean, nobody's saying that it couldn't be done, but it was just like, oh, I thought that it was supposed to be just Envy, Charlemagne, and Jessica. Now you got, you know, Jess. Now you guys have this new lady as well, Lauren. But I thought maybe they had just worked her on into the program and it was fine. But apparently Deborah actually is the one who told me. Shout out to Debbie. Hey girl, how you doing? Anyway, Debbie had told me, she was like, well, it's looking like there's probably some issues rising over there because people actually like Lauren more than they like Jess. And now they trying to say like Jess needs to go. And I was like, oh, that sounds like that's going to be something. And sure enough, earlier this week, I think I had that conversation with Debbie last week. Earlier this week, I saw that Jess had made a video and she was actually detailing how she was unhappy with her experience. Y'all see the fire truck behind me? Of course they'd be in the video. Of course. Anyway, ooh, Justice. Not too bad looking. Oh. It's the other one. Anyway, so earlier this week, you know, Jess is on her social media and she is, I mean, literally airing all the business, saying how, you know, when she came back, she didn't really like Lauren because she couldn't understand why Lauren was still there. You know, she brought her in as her replacement, but only for the time that she was away. But they kept her on, and then she had to deal with her being there, and so that was awkward. And then when it was time for Jess with the mess to come up, Lauren was still doing the segment. So they were introducing it, I guess, as a Jess with the mess segment, but Lauren was still doing it. So Jess was starting to feel a way about it, like, well, damn, what happened to my segment? Let me just say that all of the things that Jess was complaining about, like, I totally understood. I figured that she was feeling that way because she was just like, if you guys are going to have her do that segment, then take the Jess with the mess like introduction. You know how they do the little intro jingles for the radio station. She was like, take that off and let it just be hers. And they were like, no, we're not gonna do it that way. And she was like, but why do you guys have her doing Jess with the mess? Jess is here with the mess, but you guys are not taking my mess. You guys are actually listening to Lauren. So anyway, that's what she was complaining about. All very valid, legit complaints that I felt that she had. But I was just like, Jess, why are you blowing this up on social media of all places? Well, that's what she knows. That's where she's from. She is a social media content creator at first. She was the person that did all of the things that she wanted to do on her own channel, you know? So that's what she knows. When something happens, she knows to come to the internet. She knows to come to social media and let people know what's going on. However, when you actually are contracted and you work in a business where these people is paying you and stuff, you like don't want to blow up your own spot. Trust and believe, radio stations, I told y'all, they are gutter. Like, radio don't have the same rules, it seems to be, like TV and other places. Like radio, I'm telling you, you could listen on Friday and on Monday, it'll be a whole new fucking crew there on Monday. And they ain't said nothing about everybody leaving on Friday. You know, Saturday you start seeing on social media, like on the news, they say, oh, so-and-so is out of a job. You know, they let them go. They told them on Friday, you know, that they was fine or something like that. And it'll be a whole new crew. So I'm just like, girl, you doing this, I'm sure you signed a contract and everything. I'm sure the radio station is always going to make sure that they're covered first before you going to talk yourself out of a job. Okay? And at this point, I'm sure that if she's said all this, she probably realizes that she's probably putting her own position on the line and she's probably fed up. But still, girl, why shoot your own self in the foot? Like, if you had these kind of legitimate gripes, you should have just sat down with the powers that be and been like, what are we doing here? You know, instead, the way she described it anyway, it was just a whole bunch of like all this gossip and chatter and everybody got these little cliques and everybody do this and do that. And, you know, she just ain't got time for it. She called it Fair East Side High. Fair East Side High. Is that what it's called? Fair East Side High. You know, Lean on Me with Joe Clark. She was like, yeah, that kind of environment. like the kind before he got to the school. That's how it is around here. You know, she big upped Angela Yee, said, you know, she understood why she left. She wasn't as crazy as people like to say that she was, and this, that, and the other. And I was just like, so unprofessional, Jess. So unprofessional. Not only did she do that, but she also went to work the next day. Because then I was just like, now you're making it real awkward. Because unless you saying, bitch, I ain't coming back up in that motherfucker today or ever again, you got to go to work tomorrow. So now you've made it awkward for yourself and everybody else that's going to be there, you know. But maybe she was at that point where she was just like, oh, fuck it, we're going to put it all on the table and figure it out. So then they have a conversation online. Charlemagne joking around. You know, this is not really a joking matter. I'm sure he's there. I know he's there for comedic relief and all that, you know, and trying to lighten the moment and everything. But it wasn't really a light moment. And that's the whole thing. That's the reason why it did not need to be on the radio. Because, you know, I'm sure there were even things more that they could have said. And it's stuff that the audience just don't need to know. Because what happens is once the audience knows that there's a little, you know, somewhere where they can get in there and divide, that's what they're gonna do. So now everybody is just like, Lauren is better than you, you know. I mean, not now. People have been saying that. But, you know, they've made Jess be on the defensive. Lauren probably feels defensive as well, because now it's like her name is being thrown around and all this, and she ain't did nothing but try to do her damn job. You know, now she got some woman that's got a problem with her and shit and all, you know. You can see where they're trying to pit these two women against each other. I was watching the conversation that they had after the conversation on air. You know, they showed on their YouTube channel them talking afterwards, and Lauren kind of saying that she had some problems with Jess. And I was just sitting there listening like, see, this is the whole thing. They always put these two women, they put women against each other. And now you still got Envy and Charlemagne. They over there fine, you know. Envy is trying to explain to Jess, like, we even told you we would get rid of Lauren if you wanted to, you know, and you never said anything. Well, you know, maybe Jess didn't want to be the one to say, yeah, get rid of that bitch because this is my job. I mean, you know, you don't be wanting to be putting people out of their job and all, but yet and still it's just like, why do I have to say that when I brought her in as the replacement for me? I'm coming back. So why wasn't it just automatic? Okay, Lauren is going to go, or we're going to put her in another position, or she's going to do something else for the show, or she's going to... Why wasn't that? So I understood. Like, I literally understood what Jess was saying. I just hate that she did it online, because now people know that there's issues and stuff there. She ain't going to last long. She won't be there much longer. If she is still there, she gonna be real salty and funky, and you can look at her and tell she one of them ones that if she funky, she gonna be funky, okay? And they just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, it can be done, but Angela Yee, you know, Angela Yee worked there. You can tell that Angela Yee was ready to go a long time ago. She just left when the time, I guess, was right for her. But Jess hasn't been there long enough for them to value her the same way that they valued Angela. So the way they probably fought for Angela to stay there, they're not going to do that with Jess. So it's going to be like, girl, if you ain't okay with it, then you can get the fuck on, and then, you know. And so, and I hate that for her, because it was good to see somebody that does, you know, this kind of content actually get a for real official, made it over, crossed over into the mainstream and made it over to there. That's what a lot of YouTubers and Instagram, you know, short story people that make them, and TikTokers, like that, people want to parlay those kind of things into something bigger. So she did exactly what she was supposed to do. It's just that ain't how you handle business. That's not how you handle business. And yeah, irritated with Charlemagne joking around about it, and them trying to tell her, like, you let the internet get in your head. What she did let the talk of the comments, like, if I ever made it big and that kind of thing, like, I don't have them kind of aspirations like I used to. Like, at first I used to be like, I would love to be in radio and things, but I lost my train of fucking thought. Oh, I hate when that happens, y'all. Menopause brain. What was I gonna say? It was a good point too. Anyway, all I will say is that, you know, Jess is probably best in an environment where she can just thrive doing her comedy, her brand of comedy, where her loyal people will follow her and all that. Not everybody likes Jess. Not everybody likes anybody, you know. But again, it's always the crabs in the barrel kind of thing. So once somebody sees that you feel a way about something and that's a weakness that they can continue to harp on, and they will do that. They're going to continue to make Jess's life miserable unless they can just really shut all of this down and everybody play nice and get along, you know? Damn, I hate what I was going to say. I said I wanted to be on radio. I thought I don't know. Anyway, Jess says she's picking up her comedy acts again, and she's doing more work just for herself because she's not even having fun at the Breakfast Club any longer. How long has she been there? Has it been a year yet? I can pretty much, I don't think that on both sides, I don't think that her contract will be renewed. I mean, we'll see. But if they even have to hold her to the job, you know, until that year is out. Because like I just told you, honey, they will get rid of your ass in a hot ass minute. So she could be, child, I don't know. But y'all let me know what you think about it. The Lauren girl, I like her. I've listened to her. You know, her different segments, the way that she reports, you know, you can tell. I mean, it's a totally different style. It just is what it is, you guys. I felt bad for Jess, but I was just like, girl, this ain't the way to handle it. You are really messing up your own self, you know. Not even just this job, but future jobs. Okay? You know, people gonna watch this and be like, no, we don't need nobody that's gonna be coming to the damn internet every 15 minutes. So yeah, y'all let me know what you think about all that. Do you listen to the Breakfast Club? What do you think about Lauren? What do you think about Jess? Has Jess, you know, been able to do the job? Because I know now everything Jess does, everybody got a problem with. I saw that she was on there talking about a party that Shaq had or something that she was at, and she was telling about all of the white women, or it was something that was there. I was just like, girl. So anyway, I bit myself right here about 4 days ago, and now I just keep on biting the same spot. I don't even know how what you kind of chewing you doing that you actually bite this inside right here of your lip. It's not even up here where you normally would bite, nigga. It's there. Anyway, so my tongue, I keep on running my tongue across it. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get on off of it, but yeah, Jess hilarious. Ain't too happy with the Breakfast Club. All right, you guys, this next story is bigger on the West Coast. They don't really care too much about it out here in Atlanta, but it has so many striking resemblances to the RICO charges that were brought up against Young Thug that I thought I'd share. I mean, it is still a big story, you guys. So, Big U. Okay, mama named him Eugene Is it Eugene Hendricks child, or is it Henderson child? And put his last name on here. Anyway, Big U, who is very well known in LA, he is a former, let him tell it, he is a former gang member of the Rolling 60s Crip gang. I mean, you know, once you in a gang like that and you've been in it all that time, you never are really former, but he's not active. He doesn't actively gang bang anymore. I mean, he is fucking 55, my age, you know. So actually, no, he's 58. I'm sorry. So yeah, you know, he ain't out there doing drive-bys and shit, but they say that he is the leader of the Rolling 60s gang out there. And if he ain't the leader, he is very, 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 very high up in the organization. Okay. Big U is kind of like one of those bad boogeyman kind of people in LA, because even though I guess he used to just be for real a menace to society back out in the day, but he went to jail and he rehabilitated himself and he came out and he didn't want to be that any longer and he changed his life. This is all what he's told us. Actually, you guys, did I ever tell you Mr. had a podcast? Mr. had interviewed him at one time on his podcast, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, he had you know, so he's completely changed. He started this organization called Developing Options, okay? And that organization was built to, or was formed to help gang members that were coming out of jail, who wanted a new life, didn't want to be banging anymore, needed help trying to get, you know. So he was the one that had this foundation that was helping these people, you know, get on the good foot, get jobs, helpful in the community, that kind of thing, right? But they said that was a front. They're saying that that's a front for this whole criminal organization that he has of racketeering and kidnapping and murder and all kind of things, right? Very similar to the same way that they went and snatched up all of Young Thug's, because remember they were trying to say that Young Thug was the leader of the slime, Young Slime Life YSL gang. So now they're trying to say that Big U was the leader of the Rolling 60s Crip gang, and that he either participated in or ordered things to be happening on his behalf as a Rolling 60 leader, and these people were doing the job and shit for him, okay? And I'm talking about, child, it was a rabbit hole to go down for sure this morning. They say, and it's interesting because when you see Big U, I mean, he just don't seem like this is what's going on, child. It just don't seem like it. But they say that he was out there terrorizing business owners, making them pay. He was making the dispensaries pay a certain amount every week, just off of the top of they profits, just because it was like you got to pay to play kind of thing. What looks like might have helped do him in is that one or some of the business owners was getting tired of them having to pay this like street tax just because he said so, you know, or else they was gonna get their ass beat or killed or whatever. So they started cooperating with the Fed, so they started building a case on him. Between those kind of things happening, and then there is a case of this Rashawn, what is his name? Rashawn Williams. Rashawn Williams was an artist or an aspiring rapper that Big U, because Big U also is big in the music industry. I mean, Big U has done music and movies, and he's a producer and you know, all of this, right? He had this kid, Rashawn Williams, who was actually the best friend of his son. His son plays professional football. He's a linebacker for the Chargers. Okay. Kid doing very well in the NFL. You know, doing very well. I think he's been playing for a few years now. But anyway, back in 2021, apparently, Big U had taken this boy in. A boy, I guess, was living with him at some time and felt like he had talent. So this is what they're saying in the documents, because, like I said, they swept up 19 people. Well, they had an indictment for 19 people. They wanted to arrest everybody. They were able to arrest 10. 4 were already in jail. 3, they said they were going to go get right after the press conference. And there were 2 that were on the run. One was Big U, and another one was Mejia. Dorian Mejia. Okay. And we'll get back to Big U and Dorian and all that. But anyway, on the way the story goes, so Big U apparently sent the boy to Vegas. There's a studio that he owns, or that he has like access to out there, that he intended for the boy to be working at that studio. He was staying at the Airbnb that Big U or Big U's company has set up for him. And he was expected to be going to the studio every day and working and all. Well, apparently the boy wasn't going to the studio every day, and they had called and told Big U, like, you paying for studio time. So it wasn't his studio, but you paying for studio time, but nobody is coming here. So apparently Big U went to Vegas, and they say he had like henchmen, you know, like they were guys that he considered that he wouldn't do it himself. So he had like these 2 guys I can't even think of their names right now, but there were two guys that would do all of his dirty work. So he went out there with them apparently, and they went to, no, maybe he didn't go with them, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He went out there, went to see the boy, and the boy told him, well, I haven't been going to the studio because I don't really have any transportation. So that was his excuse. So Big U must have took him to the studio, and they worked on the music or whatever. And apparently, while they were there at the studio, one of the songs that Rashawn had was like a diss track towards Big U. And I don't know why he would do that. So, there's probably more to the story. I'm just giving you guys, like, I told you this was a deep dive. So, anyway, they had words, and they ended up getting into some kind of fight at the studio. Okay, but I guess they must have worked through it and everything. The man did the work, the music that he was expected to do, and then him and Big U left. And they were under the impression that Big U was taking them back, I guess, to his Airbnb. He was scheduled to leave to go back to LA, I guess, the next morning. But they say that when he left the studio, it was around midnight. They say that he turned off his phone, so it wasn't pinging nowhere. It was like 12:30. And they say that he did not turn his phone back on till like 3 o'clock. And apparently he went back to the studio, and then the people at the studio was like, he got back and he was all like kind of riled up and like sweaty. And so they were like, why are you sweating? Like, what's going on? And he said that he had been to the gym. But what's in question was that 12:30 to 3 a.m. time, where they didn't have any record of where he was or what he was doing. They say the next morning, 6 hours later, they found Rashawn Williams' body that was thrown in a ditch off of the 15, which is the highway that you get to go from Vegas to LA. That's the highway that you go back and forth. They said that they found his body there. So apparently they had been looking at Big U this whole time. They said that he was the last person that was with him when he was alive. So that is why they're saying that he was actually the person responsible for killing this kid. Okay. He's always denied it. But they've tacked that on into this RICO case. On top of what I just told you, him getting money from the dispensaries and other things like that. They said that he was he was paying for women to come across the border, probably going back and forth to Vegas, or like when they would have parties, he had some girl that he would have get girls together, which is probably a very normal thing, but all of the dark side of the entertainment industry. But anyway, this girl would get girls to come, and he would pay for it. So that's considered prostitution. So there's all of this stuff, right? So they were saying that Big U and Dorian Mejia was on the run. Big U ended up turning himself in yesterday, and again, he did say that he was innocent, and he just didn't like this shit. It's really basically, they raided all of his homes. They were saying, and he said that the police, when they were there, were talking about WAC 100 and loose cannon and 600 and all of that. Now, apparently, at some point, I know WAC considers himself a blood, and I know that some of these other names that I'm saying are Crips and stuff, but I think that people were saying that the people that was working with him, one of his henchmen, one or both of them, but at least one of them has now, him and you don't get along anymore, so now that guy is kind of telling the stuff that he was doing for Big U, and it's looking like it's just digging a hole deeper and deeper for Big U. Apparently he's been under investigation for the last few years, 2 or 3 years, and he knew it because they had been letting it out that it was. And apparently the family of Rashad knew that the feds were about to arrest Big U. And so it's like, now it was looking like Wack and all the rest of them were kind of working with the feds, and Big U is upset about it, saying that none of that shit is true, and that everybody was just believing it because it was just sensationalized on the internet, and they were talking and all this. I don't know. It looks bad though. It looks bad for Big U. They said that there was DNA of him underneath the boy's fingernails. Of course, when you hear that, you think of somebody in a tussle or trying to get away or something, and them scratching at somebody. But that's a little bit of misinformation too, because apparently they're saying that the DNA actually was inconclusive, that there was maybe some DNA of his under his fingernails, but there were DNA of other people too. So they cannot conclusively say that, it was just Big U's DNA under. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of all this other stuff, y'all. I don't be knowing about this. Mr. B knowing about all this stuff because, we from LA and we, close to some of these, we lived in these areas and know some of these people, but like, it's just really too bad because if Big U didn't do what they're saying he's doing, it's looking real bad for him. Okay. But if he did do it, it's looking bad. It looked bad for him, period. And it's too bad because Big U, he has a lot of, a lot of people do respect him and all. There was one woman who works with him that they were interviewing, this Asian lady, and she was just like, no, I've never ever felt like he was a threat or a problem. I didn't think he was out there doing wrong. Like, she's just shocked that all this is coming out about him, And when you saw the video of Big U, he had that look on his face like it's just all bullshit, But I mean, it's, you never know. People can act and stuff, but I just was like looking at it and just being like, damn, that is. But when you read all that paperwork from the indictment and all that, whew, there's a whole lot going on out there, and they've been watching. They have been watching, and they have presented him as like, the angel in your face, but a devil behind your back. You would not know, from him being an upstanding citizen of LA, the way that he presents himself, that all this other shit was going on. I was just like, not the $2,000. They say he was making them people pay $2,000 a week. Just off the rip. And then they said that it was starting to get to the point where he was taking advantage and just would call and be like, hey, I need $3,000 because I got to do this, or and so, yeah, y'all, it's a lot. It is a lot. But remember I told you guys, I was just like, I'm so shocked that all this shit be going on social media, like how they actually have shows and podcasts where these guys actually sit down and be telling all the business, because it was just like, back in the day, I mean, we didn't have the internet back in the day, but like, niggas wasn't all loose-lipped and talking like that. That shit stayed on the hush. But now it's just like everybody is just talking and saying and telling it all, and it is just terrible. So, Big U said he turned himself in, trying to figure out what's going on, and he did look pitiful, y'all. But I mean, you just don't never know. But I was just like, what the fuck? This is awful. This is terrible. This is bad. And that murder, if they can really get that murder on him, no, we won't be seeing him. He gonna be in jail for a minute. And then, there's always been whispers of other things that Big U might have, they be trying to tie him to the Nipsey Hussle murder and everything. It's just all these things, that you've heard. It's been rumored, but you just, it's definitely a deep dive though, y'all. If you interested in this story, I was only interested because of, from being in the area, but if you want to read up on it, child, it's a whole lot. It's a lot. I was like, I surely been missing, I'd heard Mr. talk about shit around the house, but I don't just be like, I don't care, because that's just a whole bunch of nigga shit. I mean, this is the depth of nigga shit right here, But, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is they're going to put all them niggas in jail together and don't nobody get along no more. So that's going to be like, I hope they separate these folks out. Because even though some of these 60s, they all was in the same gang. Some of them don't get along, you know. So it's like, you're gonna get them all up in that jail. They better be paying attention. They better be making sure they got extra security on this particular group of people. Yeah, you guys, it's a fascinating read. If you guys get the time, y'all get on the internet and look up that paperwork and see what they gotta say, honey. The feds is cracking down on these rappers and shit, ain't they? It's just too bad. Like, a lot of them have parlayed the old gangster careers into new rap careers. And even with the success of these rap careers and the things that they doing, it's like, why are you still paddling around and all that other shit? Like, you done made it. Why are you still on the streets? It's the whole thing with Dirk and but it also could be shit that they paying for that has happened in the past, like past, and they just ain't quite been able to break it off completely, because it's still some pissed off feelings of people mad out there, you know. You just can't never quite get away, kind of always having to look over your shoulder type of situation, you know. Anyway, yeah, child, that's it on that. Y'all go on and read up on that, and y'all let me know what you think about it. Next story. There has been an update on Wendy Williams, y'all. I'm so happy. I'm gonna keep on reporting these stories because I'm glad to see that actual real things are happening here. So remember last time I talked about Wendy, I told you guys that she had called the police and asked could she be taken to the hospital so that they can do an evaluation of her cognitive skills, and that she passed that test well, right? And remember I told you it was drama when she and her niece went to go get some dinner, and the damn facility was trying to say that they had just left and they didn't know where they were, and tried to put a police report in and say that Wendy Williams had been kidnapped. Not the case. I don't even think they had to worry about that. Okay. Well, now Wendy ended up going to the court on Monday to talk to the judge about the findings, I'm assuming anyway, the findings of what happened when she went to the doctor. And when she came out of court, we found out that Judge Lisa Sokoloff agreed to allow Wendy to move from the secured facility that she lived in. They said that, okay, she can move out of there and she can get her own condo. Okay, she's free to go and come as she wants. I'm sure there's still some things that she's got to meet up with people, or she's got to be checked in, or they got to know where, you know, I'm sure there's other things that she's got to do. But for the most part, she's not in that damn jail that she was in, that she was paying $40,000 a month, you guys. They said that it ranged, it depends. I don't know what it would depend on, but they said from $18,000 to $40,000 is what she pays, or what her guardian pays for her to be in that facility a month. All right. I said, I know that Wendy Williams can find a fine condominium for half of that price out there in New York. I actually wish that Wendy could actually get out of New York, because I feel like when you have certain vices and you have certain things that, you know, her addictions and things, maybe she needs to be out of that environment altogether, you know, just the whole concrete jungle of New York, and, you know, just that, you know. So I'm hoping that it would have been nice if she could have actually moved to Florida. I don't think they letting her do that. But at least we know that she's not just stuck, confined on that 5th floor up there any longer. So I'm happy for her. She was looking way better, sounding way better. And I'm just really praying that she's still working on her addiction issues and, you know, getting that under control, or omitting it altogether, I should say, not controlling it, just not even having it, and that she can kind of get some semblance of her life back. Like I said, I don't want the woman back on TV. I don't. I just want Wendy to be able to live comfortably, enjoying her money, enjoying her family, and, you know, living the rest of her life with her medical issues and all the shit that she got on in comfort and in happiness. That's what I want for the lady. Okay? So good for her. Maybe it's on its way. All right? All right. Oh, you know what? Let's put one more story in here. So the 2 astronauts that were stuck out in space in the International Space Station, Remember, they was only supposed to be out there for a week. I think they were only supposed to be out there for an 8-day kind of stay. And instead, because there were problems with the spacecraft that they went out there on, helium was leaking, and you know, they were having some problems with the thrusters and whatnots. They were afraid to bring them back because they weren't sure if the machine was going to make it back to Earth. And so what they ended up doing was letting them stay out there in space at the space station. In my mind, I just am really, aren't you curious what it looked like at the space station? I mean, I probably could just look it up and everything. But can you imagine living out in space for fucking 9 months? And it's actually other people out there just working right now. Like right now, there's a group of people up in space just working at a fucking facility out there. You know? Like, that's craziness to me. But anyway. So, yeah, so they were supposed to just be 8 days. They ended up being out there 9 months. They ended up just working at the space station. And you guys know that story became politicized because then all of a sudden WISAP was saying the Biden administration couldn't get them back down here, but wasn't a matter of they couldn't get them back down here. They just wanted to make sure that it was safe enough for them to get back down here. On top of that, they had to send another machine up there to get them. You know, in order for them to get back down. So there's a lot of other things that they had to work out. It was not like you just call and be like, okay, girl, I'm gonna go get some gas and then we're gonna fly up to space and go get them too. Okay? No, it's more to it than that. So on top of that, these people needed to be relieved because now they need some people to relieve them of the jobs that they were doing out there. So they ended up, I think they originally went out there on a Boeing spacecraft. And, you know, Boeing ain't been our favorite because Boeing can't seem to get these planes together, let alone a fucking spacecraft. But anyway, it was Boeing that sent the damn plane. I mean, they had the machine that went up there. And now when they came back on, NASA ended up getting them back. Okay. NASA ended up sending 2 of their comrades up there, a Russian cosmonaut and what was the other one was an astronaut. What kind of astronaut was it? Because I didn't even know. I was like, now what's a cosmonaut? Cosmonaut. I mean, we always heard of an astronaut, but I'm just like, I'm intrigued with this cosmonaut thing. But yeah, what was I saying? The Russian was the cosmonaut and the astronaut was from Asia. Is that where I want to say? Child, hold on. Let me look at my notes. I don't want to give y'all the wrong information. You'll be like, Roxanne, no, it was. Y'all love to. No, Roxanne, it's not Africa. It's Ghana. I said, isn't Ghana in Africa? Y'all sitting up here. I said, the girl went to Africa. Y'all in my comments telling me she went to Ghana. Ghana's in Africa? I did not know the country. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Japanese astronaut, Russian cosmonaut. They went out there, relieved them of their shift. They put them in these little put them in the pods and whatnots. And we saw that they was dropped down into the ocean somewhere in Florida, I believe, yesterday. And did you guys see the video of all the dolphins that was like swimming around them? Y'all love dolphins. I do think they are amazing creatures. You know, and it was like they welcomed them there and they was making sure that they were safe or something. I just had a certain special little feeling in my heart, y'all. But anyway, they are now back. And again, these type of stories are all the stories that make me worry for Gail. I'm sure Gail is going to be fine. She's not going to the height of where these actual cosmonauts and astronauts go. Look, I'm going to just keep on saying cosmonaut. I think she's just they're just breaking the barrier to be at like, as soon as they hit space, you know, they're not going deep, way beyond and shit, not infinity and beyond. They just making sure that they get through the barrier. They'll be in space. They probably will float around. At least this is what happened with Michael Strahan. They'll float around, they'll play around, take pictures, do whatever they're going to do, and then they're going to come on back. Okay. But still, I'm a little worried. Okay, but you know, all's well that ends well. Williams and Wilcox Oh, Williams and Wilmore, is that the names? I don't know their first names. They are back here in the country trying to, should I say on the earth, on the planet? They are back on the planet trying to readjust to gravity and all of the things. Okay, so congratulations to them. Glad they have made it back all in one piece. And that's that on that. All right, you guys, that's it. We do this every single week. So make sure you thumbs up the video, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you have not already. And make sure you come back. Till next time, Roxstars. Bye.